Today we will be learning how to take accurate body measurements. Yes, if you don't know how to take your body measurements, you'll be learning it live today. Yes, you learn how to take your body measurements and also your pants measurements. Still on this live. Yes, so you should stay tuned and watch till the end. Don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. So stay tuned and learn how to take your accurate body measurements. Yes, your accurate body measurements, you'll be learning them right here in this life. Okay, so you'll be learning how to take them. So if you are a beginner or somebody who is still confused on how to take body measurements, so you just have to watch this live so you get to understand how to take them step by step. Now, in order for you to have a fitted pattern, that is in order for you to achieve a fitted dress or an accurate dress, you must learn how to take your body measurement. Now, in the course of this class, if you feel like you don't really understand enough or the videos were not clear, like the life wasn't clear because of network issues, you can send me a DM, or because I'm having a beginners class, so where you get to learn that part very, very well. But on this live today, you will learn how to take your measurement, both your body measurement, your skirt. I'm teaching you how to take your skirt measurement. I'll also be teaching you how to take your pants. Okay, your pants measurement, all of them, all in this life. So we're learning all of them in this life here. So let's proceed to my mannequin. Yes, I'm using my mannequin and also myself as my model for this class. So you have to watch attentively. You have to pay much attention to it, because I might not do this kind of life again. Like on my next live, I'll teach another topic. But for this live, you learn your body measurements. Here, you learn how to take your body measurements, how to take your skirt measurements, and how to take your pants measurements, all of them. So the live won't be a long kind of live, so it's just like moderate duration. Yeah, so you all don't get bored. So let's move to my mannequin. So I need to set my tripod stand first. Yeah, so I'll be using myself and my mannequin, like I said. So don't forget to ask me questions. Anything you don't understand, don't forget to ask me questions if you don't understand anything here. So you can see, so I'm using my mannequin. So I'll take this off and I will use my mannequin. So all these dresses, I need to take them off. So that you'll be able to see very well and understand what I am doing. So hope you guys can see. So I have my mannequin right in front of everybody. I have my mannequin here. So you can see my mannequin here, right? Now, what you need before taking anybody's measurements, right? So you need your tape. You need your tape in taking the measurement, and you also need your notebook or your notes pad in order for you to take your measurements. Okay, now after doing that, the next thing for you to do is that you locate the person's waist area. Yes, you locate the person's waist area. And how will you locate the person's waist area? You tell the person to bend. Okay, so you tell them to bend sideways. Hope you guys understand. That's just the first thing for you to do. You tell them to bend sideways, and immediately, let me use myself an example. Now, the moment I bend sideways, my waist automatically goes inside. The moment I bend sideways, my waist automatically goes inside. So if they bend sideways, then you tie that particular part with a rope, like a tiny rope. You tie that part there with a rope. Now, after locating that waist area there, that is tightening it with a rope. You note that down. So the next thing for you to do is to take your measurement, all your body measurement. Now, the first measurement you will take the round body's measurement. The round body measurement first, before taking the straight body measurement. Now, the round body measurements are measurements you take around the full body. Around the full body. Do you get? Around the full body. Those are your round body measurements. And the straight measurement are the measurements you take across. That is your length, or just across it. You're not taking it round. So they call them the straight body measurements. Okay? So let's start from the back measurement. Now, for you to get your back shoulder, in order for you to get your back shoulder here, just see. So we'll start with the back, sorry, like you can just do any way, put your straight round measurement, right? So for you to get your back shoulder here, now if you look at the human bone, we have this, the human shoulder, we have this bone right here. There's this bone at the shoulder line right here. There's this bone, so you locate it. So for this mannequin, you can see it. So you place your tape from this point here, can you see, to this point here. From this bone around this area here to this bone around this area here. So you note that down, okay? So you note that down. So that is your back shoulder. From this bone around this area here to this bone around this area here, that is your back shoulder. So you note that down. That is your shoulder. You note that down. The next measurement for you to take is your bust circumference. Your bust circumference. So you come to this point here and you get your bust. Can you see? You take your tape round like this. Can you see? To the fuller side of your bust. Can you see where my tape is? To the fuller side of your bust. Can you see? My tape is round to the fuller side of your bust. Can you see? Then you note it down. Now your measurements should be firm. Your measurements should be firm. Let me use myself. Now, just see, I'm passing my tape round like this. Can you see? To the fuller side of my butt. Can you see? This is now my bust circumference. My bust circumference. You note it down. I've taught you your shoulder measurement, your bust circumference. Now, you divide your shoulder measurement by 2. By 2. And then you divide your bust circumference by 4. Okay, so I'm telling you all this in this life. Now, the next measurement for you to take is the waist measurement. The waist measurement. Now, remember I said you should locate the person's waist and you tie that particular point with a rope. So you locate the person's waist circumference here. That is where that rope is. That is where you take your round waist circumference. So you note it down. Look at how I am placing my tape with just one finger inside. So you note that down. That is your waist circumference. You note that down. Then the next measurement for you to take is the hip circumference. The hip circumference, the measurement around the fuller side of the hip. Can you see? The measurement around the fuller side of the hip here. So you note that down. So I'm going to take the measurement around my hip. Can you see what I am doing? Can you see? Around the fuller side of my hip. You take it round like that and then you bring it to this point. Hope you guys can see. You bring it to this point here. Can you see? So this is your hip circumference. This is your hip circumference. You note this down, okay? So the next measurement for you to take is your round knee circumference. Your round knee circumference. Now, in order for you to get your round knee circumference, there is a number of tricks for it that you can follow. So you take from your waist to your exact knee. Okay, you take your waist to your exact knee. After taking your waist to your exact knee, you come up by 4 inches above whatever measurement you get. Now, just see what I'm doing. I'll place my tape here and I'll place it to this point here. So I have 24 inches. Now, from that 24 inches, I'll minus 4 inches. That is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have 20 inches. Now, from this point to this 20 inches is called my knee length. Reasons because this side is fuller than this exact nail. This side is fuller than this exact nail. By the time you take your nail length on this point here, you won't be able to work for some dresses. So that's why you need to come up here by 4 inches. Then you note it down, that is your nail length. Then for your round nail circumference, on this point where you have your 20 inches, then you take it down, you take it round. Can you see? You take it round. Then you ensure that the person will be able to walk. Okay, you ensure that the person will be able to walk. When you take the measurement around the nail, you tell the person to walk like this. Now, when they're able to walk with the tape on them, then you note whatever measurement you get from it. So the next measurement for you to take is you take your bust point. That is your shoulder to your bust point. Your shoulder to where your nipple is. Your shoulder to where your nipple is. Now, just see. I'll place my tip here on the shoulder line here to where my nipple is. So this is 10 inches. So this is now my bust point. 10 inches. You note it down. Then you take from your shoulder straight down to your under bust. From your shoulder straight down to your under bust. Then you note this down. So this is now your under bust. From your shoulder to your underneath the bust, you note it down. Then you take your shoulder to your half length. Like I said, you tie this point here with a rope so you can know your measurements around the waist area. Now you take from your shoulder straight down like this to where that rope is, where your waistline is. Then you note it down. So this is now your shoulder to your front half length. So remember, the front half length is longer than the back half length. So you take from your shoulder straight down to wherever your waistline is. So you note that down. So the next measurement for you to take is your nipple to nipple. You're from one nipple point here to another nipple point here. So you place your teeth like this. Can you see? And then you note this down. So you note whatever nipple to nipple you get. Then the next measurement for you to get is your bust radius. Your bust radius. And your bust radius is from your bust point here to underneath your bust. From your nipple point here to underneath your bust. That is your bust radius. So you take it like this. So this is 4 inches, and then you note this down. So the next measurement for you to do is your nape to waist. Nape to waist. You can place your 2 fingers here to serve as a guide. Can you see? Here. Your 2 fingers here to serve as a guide here. That is on this midpoint of your neckline here. You place it right here. Can you see? To your waistline. That point where you have your rope. That is your nape to waist. It is also known as your back half length. Your nape to waist. You note this down. Okay? So you note that down. So now, the next measurement for you to get is your hip line. That is from your waist to the fuller side of your hip. Your waist to the fuller side of your hip. So you note this down. And you see from your waist here to the fuller side of my hip. Now the fuller side of this hip is 9 inches. It's 9 inches. So you note this down. Okay? Now, you know that. So after taking that, the next measurement for you to take is your blouse length. If you are making a top or blouse, whatever thing you call it, now blouse length here, you note that down. Now you take from your shoulder to wherever you want your top to end. Now when you're making a blouse, what I normally do is that my blouse length shouldn't be more than 25 inches when I am making a blouse. My blouse length shouldn't be more than 25 inches when you are making a blouse. Okay, so you take from this point here straight down to your blouse length, wherever your blouse length is. When you are making a gown, you also take it from your shoulder line here straight down to the length of your gown. You are making a short gown, a 3/4 gown, or a long gown. So this depends on you. You take it straight down. Okay, so hope you guys understand. So now another measurement for you to take is the skirt measurement. That is the measurement around the skirt area. Now sorry, let's not forget your under bust circumference. You should take your under bust circumference. So you take your under bust circumference like this underneath the bust. Underneath the bust like this. You take it underneath the bust. You note that down. Okay? So after that, then you also proceed to take the across chest. Yes, so this is just optional. So there are some patterns that you don't take your across chest or your across back. But for me, from the pattern I am drafting, I normally take my across chest and across back. Now your across chest is this upper side of your chest, above your chest here. Now from this point here, can you see where my hands is to this point? Can you see? From this point here, around the armhole area, yes, this point here, you take it from this point here to this same point. So this is your across chest. The same thing you do for your front, for your chest, you do the same thing to your back width. Now from your back width, let me tell this. From this point here to this point here, can you see? So this is your across back. That is your across back. So the next measurement we'll be taking here is the skirt measurement. So we learn how to take the skirt measurement. Now for your skirt measurement, you need your waist measurement, you need your hip circumference, you need your waist circumference, you also need your hip circumference, you also need your knee circumference, okay, and also the length of your skirt. So let's take this part. Now like I said, we tell the person to bend down. They should bend, okay, so that you'll be able to locate their waist area. Now after bending, you take the measurement around the waist like this. Can you see? You take the measurement around the waist area like this. This is for your skirts, okay? All the measurements that you need for your skirt. You take the measurement around the waist area like this. So after taking the measurement around your waist area like this, you note this down. So you also come to take the measurement around the hip, the fuller side of your butt. Then you note this down. Can you see? Around the fuller side of your butt, then you note this down. Then now you take your hip, your knee circumference. So remember as I told you in how to take your knee circumference. You locate first from the waist to the knee, then you minus 4 inches. That is where your knee area is, okay? So now, in order for us to get our knee circumference, you have to locate the knee length first. I'll place it here, which is 24 inches, then I'll minus 4 inches, which is 20 inches. This is my knee length, 20 inches, and from this 20 inches, I'll take it round, okay? You take it round and ensure that the person is able to walk around this point. You tell them to walk around this point here. Then whatever you have, that will be your knee circumference, okay? So you note that down. So the next measurement for you to take is your skirt length, Now this depends on how long or how short you want your length to be. So this depends on you. So now when you're making a short skirt, you place it from your waistline area here to the length of your skirt, short skirt, normal like anywhere, down to a long skirt, okay? So down to a long skirt. So hope you guys are really understanding this class. So now the last measurement you will learn how to take, or no, the second to the last measurement, because I haven't taught you guys how to take your sleeve and also your pants, okay? Now to take your pants measurement, you ask the person where do they normally like their pants to start from, because this is just personal something. There are people who like their pants to start from the upper waist, and also there are some that like their pants to start from the lower waist. So you ask them that particular question. Now if their pants start from the higher waist here, so you note that down. So you're going to take your round waist circumference, okay? So you take your round waist circumference like this. So this is for pants, please. You take your round waist circumference and you note this down. After taking your round waist circumference, you note this down. Then you take your hip circumference, the fuller side of your butt. You note this down. Your hip circumference, fuller side of your butt. You note this down. Then you take your thigh. Your thigh. This is your thigh. Can you see? Your thigh. You note this down like this. Then you also take your round knee, the measurement around the knee calf area. okay, the nail cap area, sorry, you note this down. So you can see what we have here. So you take this, now not too tight but just firm, you note this down. Then you also come to take your calf area here, you note it down. Then your round ankle, you note your round ankle, you note this down. Then for the length, you place your measurements around this point here to take your waist to your hip line. So in most cases it's normally from 7 inches, 8 inches, 9 inches, okay, depending on the body size. So you note this down, from your waist to your knee line, that's to the fuller side of your hip, sorry, from your waist to your hip, the fuller side of your hip, you note it down. Then you take your knee length from your waist to your knee, okay, you note this down. Then your pant length, so if you're making a normal pencil gown, you take from your waist to your ankle length, so you note that down. If you're making like a palazzo pant, a very thin pant, you take from your waist here to your trouser length. So hope you guys understand, okay. Now last but not the least, we'll be taking the measurements around the sleeve area. Now if you notice, I'm already putting my hands here, right, around my waist. Now you ensure that the person's hands are being placed around their waists like this. And you see their hands are already placed around their waist area like this. Now you take your start your measurements from. Now you place it from this shoulder bone here. Remember, you take your shoulder from one bone here to this bone. So your sleeve measurements will start from this bone here like this. Now that will be your sleeve length. So you take your length. If you're making a short sleeve, you note that down. If you're making a shoulder to elbow sleeve, you note that down. Any length of your sleeve, but this is how you take them, like this, okay? Then you note that down. So after this, ensure that the person's hands are still placed on their waist. Then you take the round circumference here, okay? This point here, can you see? You take this round arm circumference here, you note it down. Then if you're making a short sleeve, on this point where you have your short sleeve, you take the measurements round here. Can you see? You note this down with your hands still being like this. Then we're taking them. When you're making a long sleeve, sorry, you take your measurements around the elbow area here. Okay, ensure that your hands are still placed on the wrist. Take your measurements around the elbow area. Also the same thing around the wrist area. Now when you're taking your wrist area, I don't advise you take your measurements around this side because here is fuller than here. So you place your fingers like this and then you take it here. Can you see? Then you take it here like this. So you ensure that your tape will be able to pass in freely. Then you take it. The only time where you need to take the measurements around here is when you're making like a stretchy clothes. Yeah, when you're making use of a stretchy clothes, then you take your measurements around this point here. But if the fabric is not stretchy, I advise you use this area, this wrist here. So that's just basically all. So hope you guys enjoy this class, and that's just all. So hope you learned how to take your body measurements. I hope I wasn't too fast. So hope you learned something today. So I'll try my best to be coming live. That is like at least once or twice every week, and I get to teach you guys like beginner friendly topics, okay, on how to sew some styles and how to draft them straight on my live. So see you guys in our next video, and bye.